There's a version of you that exists only in other people's eyes. It drives a leased BMW. It carries a bag that costs 2 months of rent. It posts vacations funded by credit cards that haven't been paid off yet. It talks about deals closing next month and investments that are about to pop. It performs prosperity so convincingly that even you've started to believe the act. That version of you is bleeding you dry. Americans now carry $1.28 trillion in credit card debt. Nearly half of cardholders carry a balance every single month. Yet luxury car sales keep climbing. Designer revenue keeps growing. The gap between what people have and what they're willing to spend has never been wider. We're not in a wealth era. We're in a wealth cosplay era, and it has a specific playbook. 10 moves you'll recognize the moment you see them. The problem is, some of them might be yours. 1. The badge without the budget. The entry-level luxury trap is everywhere. The base model Mercedes, the Gucci belt with no savings behind it, the starter Louis bag on a starter salary. People aren't buying the car, they're buying the emblem. Here's the math that never gets talked about. A fully loaded Honda Accord costs roughly the same as a stripped-down luxury sedan. The Honda has more features, better reliability, and a fraction of the maintenance costs. The person chasing status doesn't want the Honda. They want strangers in parking lots to notice the hood ornament. And it compounds. Premium fuel, inflated insurance, luxury parts on a non-luxury budget. Someone actually wealthy spends maybe 2% to 5% of their income on status items. The fake rich spend 20 to 30%. That gap, invested over decades, is the difference between financial freedom and financial fragility. 2. Always talking about money they don't have yet. You know this person. Every conversation bends back to finances, and always in future tense. Once this deal closes, when this investment hits, I'm working on something big. The money is always about to arrive. It never quite does, but projecting future wealth costs nothing, so why not? Real financial confidence is quiet. People who've actually built something don't need to narrate it constantly. The non-stop money talk is a signal, not of success, but of an internal void that external validation is trying to fill. Watch also for the Revenue V's profit con. My business does $500,000 a year, conveniently leaving out that they took home $50,000. The exaggeration is the tell. 3. The costume before the character. A $5,000 bag on someone with $2,000 in savings isn't a flex, it's a disguise. There's a simple rule. If you can't afford to buy it twice, you can't actually afford it. A purchase that represents 2 or 3 months of income isn't wealth. It's the performance of wealth at the expense of the real thing. Even worse, some people finance designer items, paying interest on a handbag, making monthly payments on a watch that depreciates the second you leave the store. By the time it's paid off, they've spent 30% more than the sticker price on something worth half what they originally paid. The bag impresses strangers for 3 seconds. The empty savings account generates anxiety for years. 4. The one-upper. You close on your first home. Before anyone can congratulate you, they've already explained why you should have waited for something bigger and what they did when they bought their first property. Your win didn't just get ignored. It got absorbed into their performance. One-upping isn't confidence, it's a competition born from insecurity. Someone genuinely secure in their success can celebrate yours without feeling diminished by it. The fake rich feel threatened by wins that aren't theirs, because their self-worth runs entirely on comparison. Real wealth doesn't need to rank everything. Fake wealth turns every conversation into a contest. 5. The curated feed, the Instagram grid of hotel lobbies, shopping halls, and business class seats, carefully assembled to project a life that may exist only on screen. Here's the uncomfortable mechanic. Showing off gets engagement. Discipline doesn't. A spend $1,000 at the mall with me video outperforms watch me fund my Roth IRA. The algorithm rewards performance, so people perform. Some take it further, buying followers, buying comments, stacking fabrication upon fabrication to sustain an illusion of influence that sustains an illusion of wealth. Meanwhile, genuinely wealthy people often have almost no social media presence. They don't need the validation of strangers. Their net worth doesn't require likes to exist. 6. The endless lease. Leasing a car isn't inherently wrong, but leasing luxury cars on repeat is one of the most expensive habits in modern life, and one of the most invisible. When you lease, you pay for the sharpest depreciation years of a vehicle's life, then hand it back, no equity, no asset, just payments. Then you do it again on a new car. The cycle is designed to let people afford a monthly payment on something they could never actually buy, which is precisely the point. Someone who leases continuously for 20 years makes hundreds of thousands in payments and ends up owning nothing. The badge on the hood is real. The financial foundation underneath is not. 7. The knockoff. Counterfeit goods are, when you think about it, the most honest expression of the fake rich mindset. Paying for a logo you can't afford, on an object built to deceive, to impress people who can usually tell. Anyone who actually knows luxury goods spots fakes immediately. The stitching, the leather, the hardware, the weight. The people most likely to be fooled are the people least worth impressing. For the same $200 to $300 a decent fake costs, you could own a genuinely well-made bag from a brand that doesn't need to pretend. But that's not the point. The point is the name, the logo, the borrowed prestige. 8. The next big thing. Forex, dropshipping, crypto day trading, MLM. Whatever's about to change everything if you just get in now. The fake rich love these conversations because they're set in the future. The potential justifies the absence of results. They talk about what they're building, not what they've built, because what they've built doesn't match the image. The pattern is predictable. Discover opportunity, talk about it constantly. Go quiet. Move on. The failed ventures get quietly buried. The next one gets announced with identical confidence. Rinse, repeat, never acknowledge. Real wealth is built slowly, boringly, over years. It rarely comes from a revolutionary system someone's pitching at a dinner party. But slow and boring doesn't fit the identity, so the fake rich keep chasing the dramatic shortcut that never quite arrives. 9. The unsolicited financial critic. You're happy renting. They explain why that's a mistake. You drive a used car. They question your choices. You're saving aggressively in index funds. They suggest you should be doing what they're doing. The advice is always unsolicited, always urgent, and always points toward whatever they've chosen. Because if your different approach works, it threatens their narrative. Someone who genuinely understands money knows that different strategies work for different people. Different goals, timelines, risk tolerances. The fake rich can't allow this. They need your validation to feel confident in their own decisions, because deep down, they're not. 10. Screaming. Not whispering, head-to-toe logos. Heavy jewelry. A cloud of designer cologne you smell before you see them. Every item chosen specifically to announce something. Look at how genuinely wealthy people dress on an ordinary Tuesday. Mark Zuckerberg in a gray t-shirt. Warren Buffett in a house he bought decades ago, driving a modest car. You could walk past most billionaires on the street and never look twice. When you can buy anything, you stop needing to buy everything. When your identity isn't tied to what strangers think of you, the louder displays become unnecessary. When every item on someone's body is fighting to be noticed, the message isn't wealth, it's effort. And effort shows. The actual choice, fake wealth, is expensive to maintain. The car needs servicing. The wardrobe needs updating. The image needs feeding. Every month, more money poured into the performance, less into the foundation. The fake rich often end up poorer than when they started. The cost of appearing wealthy prevents the accumulation of actual wealth. It's a treadmill that speeds up the longer you stay on it. Real wealth is something else entirely. It's the freedom to make decisions without financial panic. The security of knowing emergencies won't destroy you. The compound growth happening quietly in accounts nobody else can see. It doesn't post. It doesn't brag. It doesn't need your validation to exist. The goal was never to look rich. The goal is to actually be rich. One path costs everything and builds nothing. The other builds quietly, until one day you have options that most people are still out here faking. Real wealth whispers. Everything else is just noise.